Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome to my first video here on All You Can Board. My name is Braiden, and here always with my cousins, Dylan and Carlo. No, I'm not their cousin. I'm just a friend.
This is so weird that we didn't, neither me or Carlo intro this video.
Yeah, I
normally
feel
I'm
like
not Carlo. This is
You're
great.
just sitting here being
I love
like,
it.
yeah, that's what that has to be. Of course, this is the video of my top 10 games, and as is tradition, Dylan and Carlo are going to either not rate or roast, but probably mostly roast them.
Probably, yeah.
And hopefully you'll get a sense of what my favorite games and what my tastes are. Before we kind of get started, I'm interested to see, do you guys have, I mean, you guys have seen some of the games, but do you have any predictions for what you might see on here?
Yeah, so we saw some of them as we unloaded them here and stuff, but I'll just say leading into this, the one I thought was going to be in your top 3, you told me wasn't even in your top 10, so that threw me off.
Oh, yeah.
There's a couple here that I did expect, and there's some here I was like, oh, right, and I didn't think of, so you've thrown me off with a few of them, I think, already.
Good.
Yeah, and I haven't played as many games with you as Dylan has, but I have some ideas of what you've got in there, and I think a lot of them I haven't even played, at least a few of them.
And
Which is good.
I'll give a tease right now, too. Almost none of my top 10 are in the top 100 BGG rankings. Only one of them is.
One game,
Only
okay.
one game.
Call it out when we do
So you'll
it.
see, you'll see, you'll know. Okay. So let's just start it off right now.
Yeah, and I guess we should just specify. Me and Carlo are here as the peanut gallery. We're just we're gonna comment on some stuff after the picks, but this is Braiden's show.
Okay, my number 10 game of all time. I don't actually have here. I don't own my own copy. I believe only Carlo owns his own copy. And the first ever triple crossover where you guys had this as, I think, your number 4s is Modern Art.
Oh, nice.
Yes, Modern Art. When I was looking, I did not expect this to be as high. And
I'm surprised I made your top 10 too, but I love it.
Yeah, it's great. It's so good. I couldn't not put it in my top 10. Every time I kept coming back to it, I kept wanting it to be higher because I enjoyed just, again, you guys talk about it so much, but the auction mechanics, the back and forth, and the way the thematics works of how the paintings and how they're paid out throughout each round, and how the value can kind of come back for a painting, and how you're paying other players for their paintings, and depending on what color of cards in your hand, you're thinking about what I'm playing out, and can I up the value of this card because I know I've got this many in my hand, and maybe I can set a high price, and just that whole dynamic, I think, is just, it's so juicy, and I will never turn down a game of Modern Art.
It's the hilarity around the table, that makes is half the reason I love that game, is just because everyone gets so into it. Again, I've called it out before when we've talked about this, but if you haven't watched us playing this on our 24-hour live stream, it's a great indication of what a big game of Modern Art can be. It was so much fun. One of my favorite moments of that entire stream, right?
Yeah, absolutely amazing game.
I think that's what really solidified it for me too, because I think that was only the second time that I had played it was on the live stream, and honestly, both times I played it, I've done terribly. I always
that's
feel
the sign of a good game, though.
That's
that
right.
You just want to come back for more, right?
It's so good. You never really know who's in the lead. You kind of have an idea because of the hidden player screens, and you don't really know who has what money, but you see cash going to one player because they're selling all these paintings. You're like, well, I can't give this to Dylan because otherwise, he's got all this cash hiding behind there. Meanwhile, he spent all this money. It's just the nuances behind it, I think, have just been, and the player interaction has been so good for me. That's my number 10. Modern Art.
Nice.
A game across all our top 10s.
Yeah. And I was ready to come out and roast you hard on that first pick, but I mean, you picked a Knizia game and one of our favorites, so.
I knew I had to start strong, and Modern Art, definitely an easy one.
Safe for now.
Safe for now. Let's move on to my number 9, which is here, which is my top 2-player game, Santorini. And one that I actually did not know of until you guys did your top, I think it was in your top 10s last year? Or top 20 at least.
20, yeah.
I think
I think it was 9 for me. I think
that's right. Yeah. And I was like, okay, this is very high for these guys. I need to try this game, and immediately fell in love with it. An abstract game. I'm a big fan of chess, and this is kind of a similar, a little bit more simplified version of it, but with so much variation in the player powers. It's just so easy to pick up and play. Again, we played this one, or you guys played this one in the live stream, and it's just so visually appealing, so much depth behind it too, strategy, and it just so quickly that you want to keep playing more. The little bite-sized games, you're like, no. I want to keep eating more of this game.
We've talked about this game on the channel many times, and I've never described it as but I think you captured the spirit.
It's the tasty factor. We got to start including
exactly.
that.
Yeah, so tasty. And what's a shame about this game is when I first saw it, I immediately, for some reason, I had kind of dismissed it. It looked kind of like a little bit too toy-like, and but after playing it and trying it, oh my gosh, I'm just sad that I hadn't picked this up earlier. Like, this was phenomenal.
It hits on like every level. Like, it's not only a fun game, it also has beautiful artwork. It also has amazing table presence. It also has tons of variability. Like, it's just, such a great game. I'm so glad to see this on there.
Yeah. Have you had the same experience as us with playing it 3 or 4 players? Or have you tried it outside of 2 yet?
Because your suggestion was so strong,
So
like I was like
away.
3 to 4 players, never.
Yeah, okay, good.
I could never do such a thing.
Fair enough.
How dare? Yeah.
I will say 3 players, it can be okay, but it's way more hit or miss, whereas the 2-player game is always hit. So it's always tasty.
No, I agree, and I've only really considered this as a 2-player game. Oftentimes, I even forget that this is even a 4-player game too. So definitely one worth experiencing, and I could see where a 4-player game, you would have to try and think things out and hopefully be on the same wavelength a little bit. As the,
it would just take a lot longer to play it, I think, and it really
sure.
benefits from that snappy playtime. But
it's super great. Santorini, my number 9.
okay, both of these picks have been surprises for me so far. But
Okay,
very pleasantly surprised.
My number 8 board game is my first social deduction game, which is, again, when we played on the live stream, One Night Ultimate Werewolf. Again, a classic when it comes to social deduction. Very snappy, very quick playing. I'm seeing a theme already in the games that I have. The Santorini
You learn a lot about
one.
yourself.
Yeah, you really do. You're really forced to learn a lot. This game, again, it's got that tasteability factor where you're always coming back, you're biting, you're nomming on it. It's quick, it's fast.
And you can do as many sessions or as many games as you want, right? So
constantly, every time that I've played this game, I've found that whoever I'm playing with, it always wants to play either one more session, another one. Okay, something else here. I want to solve this next round, or I want to play with the drunk. I want to play with the seer again, with the troublemaker now, and those combinations. And I feel like One Night Ultimate Werewolf is such a tight package where you can just get that quick and fast social deduction where there's not going to be high stakes necessarily because the rounds are so quick.
Yeah.
You're not going to get that. Someone's not going to have a big blow up because they got eliminated because this is just like 5-minute rounds. Figure out who the werewolves are, and then maybe accidentally point to everyone else, points to everyone other, and then there's actually no werewolves whatsoever.
Yeah. You can have a bad round and you're not too upset about it because it was quick and you're likely going to play again and have a different role. Right?
Well, I was going to say, this game succeeds, even playing with people on the complete opposite ends of like very little experience with this game and a lot of experience. Like, if you want to see, this guy was a freaking shark at this game we played on our live stream. The look in his eyes, I've never seen him like this before, but he would be making up a lie about one thing and then he'd say something later. We're like, wait, what? He's like, well, I did this to trap so-and-so. Yeah. Meanwhile, your friend Ryan is like, okay, guys, I'm the werewolf. We're like, you don't want to be the werewolf. He's like, oh no, okay, then I'm not the werewolf. It's like, even with 2 players like that, the game was so much fun to play.
Yeah, for sure.
There's so much chaos behind there too, because like, even if you think you're the werewolf, I had a recent play of this where my brother was the werewolf and thinking he was playing as the werewolf, when in actuality he got swapped with another player, which was my wife, who was hiding as the werewolf and had a devious plan. I had no clue she was the werewolf, and oh my gosh, she was sitting right beside me, and I complimented her after. I was like, that was a really great play.
This is why I married you.
Yeah. You make a great werewolf. So I can't say enough good things. This is probably the highest I think that it's going to be on my list.
Yeah.
I can't see it climbing any unless I can get like so many more plays.
And they're like all stellar or whatever.
Yeah, but I can't see it dropping too much. It's kind of going to be one of those rock solid picks that it's going to float in between here and there. So number 8, One Night Ultimate Werewolf.
Nice.
Okay, number 7, a heavy box that we have.
Oh, it is
here.
heavy.
It's very heavy because I have everything for it, and that's Monikers. Monikers was a game that I got introduced to by Shut Up and Sit Down. They were raving about this, and I was like, I need to figure out what the hype is about. Got my copy and immediately understood this is a game that you can play with almost any group of people, where it's so accessible, where people are choosing the cards that go into the deck so that they will have context of what the clues are. And basically, if you're not familiar with what monikers is, I like to call it advanced charades. It's basically the first round, you can describe anything except for the clue on the top of the card. The second round is just action, or no, it's just one word that you can use. And then the third round is no words, I think you can do sounds, but actions and basic charades, right? And it's all using that same deck you've used throughout. So you become familiar with what's within the deck afterwards, and it leads to a lot of interesting choices that people make for single words, or it's like a lot of discussion I find after the game has happened, like, why were you doing that? That doesn't make any sense. And then it's like people are accusing each other, and like, or you get just a magical moments of like, that word doesn't mean what you think it means, or it's been so fun and has led to so many laughs. One of the reasons why I've gotten everything for it, including the bigger box, which we're seeing here for it. I just have a blast playing this in any party setting. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, I haven't played it. I don't think.
No, I was gonna say it's the first one on the list that I have not played.
Yeah, but I've heard so much good stuff about it, and it's funny because where I've heard the best stuff about it is from people that I didn't even know played board games. Like people I work with, it'll be like, yeah, this weekend we played this game called Monikers. Have you ever heard of it? I'm like, I haven't played it. Like, why haven't I played this game? So yeah, this is even more reason for us to like get this to the table and actually play it.
Okay.
Or to the couch or to whatever.
Yeah.
Get it somewhere.
2023 needs to be when we play Monikers.
100%.
100%.
Didn't Time's Up do that similar thing with the rules as well? This is updated Time's Up kind of?
I think they are pretty much the similar, almost if not the same game. I'm not actually sure what the difference is between the two.
I was thinking the same thing. Like I think Time's Up is very similar. Maybe there's
the way the clue getting works and stuff.
Yeah, very, very similar game. I've just chosen Monikers here because that's what I was introduced to. Yep. My number 7.
7.
Oh my gosh.
I do this all the time.
You're my check-in for this.
We haven't played this, but it is the same design team, I think, as Wavelength, which we really
correct. Alex
Haig,
I think is correct, and one other person
I can't
as
remember
well.
the person's name.
Yeah,
I'll just get Dylan to put it into the
right
here.
I'll edit it in. I guess.
Absolutely, yeah. I can do that now.
Yeah, I guess you can do that now.
Right? Yeah. Okay, let's move on to number 6. This is yet another social deduction game, one that I kickstarted and have the Kickstarter copy here. It's Secret Hitler. Again, one that I haven't played since the pandemic started because of obviously social deduction, you need a bigger crew, but one that I've thoroughly enjoyed. Not only, one thing that I really, really like about games sometimes is their production quality, obviously, and this one has got it in spades. For just the quality of the tiles that you have, what are they called? It's like the liberal and the fascist policy cards. That deck is like thicker. The inlays on the board, on the player board, whether it's silver or gold, depending on where it is, and then the chunkiness of like the chancellor and president tokens are just like, it's great. It's fantastic, along with some of the theming of the with like the envelopes with your identities and stuff like this too. What I really liked about this game compared to other games like Resistance, Avalon, is that you have some of the evil team doesn't know, like Hitler itself doesn't know who the evil team is. So they are trying to do their own thing where the evil team knows who that person is. So that kind of dynamic was super, super interesting for me. Again, this is probably one that is going to stay and maybe drop in the future, I could see, just because I haven't played it in a while. And there are some issues with it. And I know that a new social deduction game, which I haven't yet to try, released the Kraken, I've heard is kind of like a better version, a little bit of this. So I'm interested to see how that compares. So yeah, this one was just so fun. I had watched a ton of videos before I got my copy online of how it was played, and I was just super excited to get to the table. And it really, to me, did not disappoint. It was uproarious, and I mean, accusing someone of being Hitler is pretty funny at times.
I've played this a few times at your place, and I love it. It reminded me, because I had played I think only one night Ultimate Werewolf up until then, or maybe there was one or two others, but it reminded me how much I love social deduction games. Like, no, I think you love them more than I do, but it was just like going to those games was just like, oh yeah, this is a genre that is underplayed, and I need to go more of these gatherings experience, where they happen, and it's funny because I think Carlo gravitates way less than me to social deduction games, so this would be his opportunity to roast if you want.
I was going to say is, I haven't played this, but ages 17 and up, I don't think I've ever seen any board game with an age that high on it.
I think it's just
That's true,
just the theme.
The theme.
Are you sure it's not like a choking hazard thing for 16 years
Oh,
old?
yeah, the pieces in this
You know what?
specifically.
Now I think about it, yeah.
That
It looks so edible, specifically for
It's
that
tasty.
age range.
It's tasty,
Yeah,
right?
that's right.
Nom, nom, nom.
Yeah, a great game. Super happy I got to kickstart this. Has
Nice.
led to uproarious accusations, and again, those moments of like, what I really love about social deduction games, and I think this is the highest one I have on my list.
Spoilers.
Is the well, you'll see.
Wow.
It's okay. It's all right. Because what I really like about this game is what happens after the game too. It's like talking about, oh, you did this thing and then you did that, and
It's like the recap.
I can't believe you were like.
We always say how much we love that in the crew.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like, what were you doing playing that card? So that makes me extra eager to try it because I love the end of round debriefs in games like
Looking back at everything and it through a different
Yeah.
lens now, right?
Yeah.
That's what I love about social deduction, and I think Secret Hitler has done that amazingly.
Nice.
Number 6.
Yeah, that's a halfway point.
Yeah. Number 5 we have here, but it's not on the pile. And number 5 is my highest Reiner Knizia game on my top 5.
Okay.
Again, spoilers. But number 5, can you guys guess what my number 5 is?
You throw out one guess, I'll throw out one guess, and then you can reveal it. Just pick one.
Lost Cities.
That's what I was gonna guess.
No.
Yeah, another one.
Oh, okay, well, we're
in
both
mind.
wrong.
Now I lost it. What was the other one that I was going to say? Oh, Quest for El Dorado?
No.
Oh, no, you haven't even played that one.
What is it?
I do own Quest for El Dorado. I have
Okay.
played it. It is My City.
Oh, of course.
My City. My
Right.
City is my number 5 game. This one, when it released in 2020, again, wasn't on my radar, and AYCB put it on my radar. I put it on my Christmas list. I got it for Christmas. My wife and I played. This has been the only game that I could say that we definitively binged. We from Christmas to New Year's, I'm pretty sure we finished all, what is it, 27 or 24 or something like that?
Yeah.
All of those episodes throughout. That constantly going back to it, wanting to play it.
Yeah.
I distinctly remember my wife, that she's never said this playing games before, but constantly exclaiming, "This game is so good, it's so perfect, oh my gosh, this is my favorite game," and she's like plunking down the pieces and everything like this. So the polyomino aspect, along with the legacy aspect from Reiner Knizia, I think is just so well done. Very simple rules that like slowly build and change over time. It's so tantalizing and like breadcrumby that I always wanted to come back.
And
to
they
this
don't
more and
build.
more.
They don't build to a point of being like overwhelming.
Yeah.
Like certain things get removed too, so it always stays at a certain level of complexity, or a certain like ceiling or whatever. So it always feels accessible, and that's what I think is so great about it.
But it also doesn't start off too boring. Like, it doesn't
No.
take too long to gain steam and start getting interesting. Like, it's good right from the first play.
I think right from the first polyomino you put down, and then you realize you're like, oh, that's not going to work because I can't do. Oh no! And then you just have that moment where you're just you're just dreading, and you're like, oh, why did I do? Oh, that's how that. Oh no! Okay, and then you learn as you play. I will say I didn't end up losing the campaign overall too, but man, it was so close throughout. The different catch-up mechanic. It's just so good. I won't spoil it. Masterful game. My favorite Knizia on my list at number 5.
Yeah, it's been in my top 50 both years. It just hung on this year at number 50 exactly. I don't think it's been in yours, but I know you did really enjoy it.
Yeah,
so.
it was one of my favorite games from 2020 for sure. It's an amazing game, and one I'll probably buy my own copy to go back and play with my wife at some point.
Yeah,
too.
and she'll like it. I think, too.
Definitely.
And just a testament to this game too, quickly before we move on to the next one. You know, I haven't played the standard version. I've only played the legacy version. So I haven't played it for at least a year, if not a little bit longer. And
it's
just,
still there, yeah.
It's still there, and I feel like I can come back to it instantly and pick it up because again, the rule's so simple, and I love polyomino games, and this is one of my favorites for sure.
Nice.
My number 5 My city. What could be next? My number 4 game of all time. This game, what is the game, if you watched or did I tease that at the start of this? I can't even remember now. But this game, I know.
Teased it somewhere.
Yeah, I teased it somewhere. And here's the payoff. This game was the game that was outside my top 100 because the first time I played this game, I played it with 4 and it just fell flat. It was with the wrong group. And until recently, when I played it with my siblings and their significant others at 6 players, man, did this game kick off, and I had an amazing experience, and that is Decrypto, my number 4.
And Carlo owns this game too, but I don't think he's played it yet.
I have not yet.
It is unbelievable. I knew this was a stone cold classic. I had read a bunch of reviews, and that's why I had purchased it, and I was super hyped for it. But really, what it came down to is just like, especially for Decrypto, when you are trying to pick your different code words and you're trying to mislead your other opponents and then also trying to solve what their words might be at the same time. Yeah. And like you hear your opponents going, oh, that's going to throw them off, whatever, blah, blah, blah. And then you end up guessing their code and they're like, how did they guess it? And then we still got it wrong too. Like, I don't understand like that competitiveness and like, it absolutely blew me away. Finding that right crowd and playing this game. This is by far, it was just so fun.
Yeah.
Absolutely skyrocketed.
I've wanted to play this for a while, and I think I've even ragged on Carlo once or twice, being like, you need to teach us this game. You need to play this game. I know. And I almost borrowed it from you one time to take to a work thing too. Mm-hmm. But I was like, I don't know if I want to be the one to learn the rules on this or something. But it just like, I've heard so many good things about it. And is this not the same company or same people or some tie to Turing Machine? Or
yes, same publisher.
Yeah, so I mean, this is great. This is just more incentive for me and Carlo to go out there and finally play it or get a game going with all of us.
And so did you say it worked better with 6?
Yes, I found it like, what I found what really worked specifically at 6 was if one person on your team is giving the clue to guess your code, you get to work with another person to figure it out, right? You get to have that back and forth with that extra person on your team, and it's the same thing conversely as well, right? Like you get to have, instead of you just sitting there going, I think it's this, and you could be like, oh, well, what about this word? And this, like
you're more engaged.
That back and forth, I think 6 is, I mean, for me at least, is probably the ideal player count.
Yeah.
It would play. I think it would play fine with 8. But maybe any more than that, it might be a bit
Is it as tricky to teach as I've heard? I've heard that's always the barrier with this game, is that it's like harder to teach than it should be for a party game.
It was interesting you say that, because I felt like consistently it was hard to wrap my mind around this game for some reason, but in actuality, it really isn't that hard.
It's one of those games where like I of course I somehow find a way to mention Feast for Odin in this video, but it's just like but like
we're not even talking about Polyomino games or worker placement.
Whose video is this?
But like in the way that I'll use that game as an example and say this game can look super imposing as soon as you set it up, and once you actually like sit down and realize that the rules are just like pick one of these actions, in practice it's a lot easier than when you first look at it. I remember looking at the rule book for Decrypto and being like, oh my god, this looks kind of complicated. I think you even had a moment with that with Zuvadis recently, but I think all those games are ones that when you actually start playing, you're like, oh, when you actually like do a couple rounds, this is like super easy, and we pick it up kind of.
Yeah, it's usually just when it's an unusual game that you haven't played before that you don't have that point to link it to, like, oh, like in this game. So then you're like, what's going on in this game, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's my number 4.
Nice.
Decrypto.
Sweet.
My number 3 is again a special party game. Let's just get into it. So Clover. So Clover again stormed onto the scene. Again, I'm a huge party game fan. Yeah. I love the setting. I love getting together large groups of people. Whether it's social deduction or party games like So Clover. That is probably one of my favorite ways to game. And So Clover has been a fantastic word game to add to my arsenal of games that I bring with me pretty much everywhere. If I'm going to my parents' house or something and I know we're going to play a game, I'm going to bring So Clover. If I'm going to a friend's house and I'm going to bring So Clover, okay? Because this game is just so, the simultaneous clue writing of everyone and then everyone working together to solve each other's clues and everything is just like,
It's so much fun.
And like being the person who gives the clue and like while waiting to see if someone is going to solve it and then like getting it right and then one person going, oh, what about this? And then changing it and you're like, no, what are you doing?
The amount of times I've had to like I'm biting my lips so much to be like, you had it. You had everything, and you moved it, and I'm like, you can't say anything to like maintain the integrity of the game and the rules. But yeah, I'm so happy to see this here because I can't remember where it was in my top 50, but it's on mine, and I feel like it might even climb more. Like I really like this game, and literally the only criticism I've had of it is that I am like, and I think I said this to you. I wish it could have more than 6 players, but like. As soon as you hit 6 and more, you would have to go to teams, like because otherwise I feel like it would just be too many people and it would take too long. But I guess you can play teams and just have 2 people share the thing. But yeah, like I love this game. I think it's every time I've played, it's been a hit. I'm not saying it's been like everyone's left being like, this is my favorite game of all time, but everyone has had a great time and laughed and just like, you know, it's been something that people still have referenced to me and been like, yeah, remember that game we played or whatever. Like friends of mine who don't play games very often have said that, like, we should play that Clover game again or whatever. So yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's a great one. I still only played it once. I don't actually think I've played it with you.
I don't think so.
I haven't played with. I don't think I played with you either.
No,
so, yeah.
Sometime soon then.
Yeah.
Do we even play games together?
This is a whole ruse, actually. This whole thing. Yeah, that's number 3. So Clover. My number 2 game of all time is the only game that's on the BGG Top 100. And that, of course, it's not going to be an AYCB video if I don't mention Marvel Champions.
Marvel Champions lovers now outweigh deniers on this channel. But this means that he's going to say that Agricola is his preferred Uwe game, and you guys are going to outweigh me there.
Well, why wouldn't he say that?
Just going to hide back here now. Yeah, Marvel Champions. This game, again, one of the surprises for me, and again, because of AYCB, put it on my radar. I wasn't not a huge LCG kind of guy, but this game, the theme, big into comics. And one thing that hopefully you'll get to learn about me too is I really love thematics about games too. And this game has it, I feel like, in spades. And right now, I would say, well, I can't really say my preferred way to play is solo because, again, our live stream, when we played two-handed, I had the best time. It was the best time I've ever had playing with this game because that was the first time that I had played not true solo.
Yeah.
And so doing the dynamics between the two and like us really like literally on the cusp. I don't want to ruin it. If you haven't watched the playthrough,
it was a great game.
Oh my goodness, what a playthrough it was! I
was trying to take a nap like one over, and I couldn't fall asleep because you guys were sitting.
Yeah, I got too excited playing this game, and I have so much fun with it solo too. The different puzzles and the novelties of each new hero or scenario coming out. Again, tying into certain thematics about either deck building or how a character plays and stuff, just really hits home for me with Marvel Champions. And that's pretty much all I need to feel like I need to say about this because there's a lot been said already on this channel and I love it. Yeah, I mean, like I think even Carlo would agree, like outside of like love for the gameplay or playing it, one thing that it does incredibly and is at the, in a top tier across all board games to look at is the way it ties in thematics. Like the fact that it'll take a hero and it'll say, in the comics, this hero's ability is this. How do we represent that in a card game? And every way that they find to do that ends up being really interesting. Like even beyond whether you enjoy playing the game, it's just interesting to be like, wow, like they took a character like Spider-Ham that's a joke character and here's how they integrated him into the game and here's the way they decided to represent him. And it's like, yeah, that works and that's great. Like how to be the designers around that round table and be like, how do we make this character work in a card game? Like that must be so much fun to just come up with those thematics and that idea, right?
And even like you pointed out the fact I'm not really a big Marvel fan, and like the game worked for me in that sense of pulling me in and making me curious. Like I didn't know a lot of the lore about these characters and these heroes, but when I would see a card and be like, what's this from, Dylan? And you'd explain something, I'd be like, oh, okay. And I started learning about them. Whereas like if I was just talking to someone about a Marvel movie, I wouldn't be as interested in asking them these questions. But being in the game and seeing these little nuggets, you almost get sucked into the world and the characters. And it's done so well in there.
Yeah. Solid pick. I'm a big fan of this one.
I didn't expect to see it at number 2. I'm surprised. So you have it higher than Dylan?
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
Wow. Dylan, you might get some people giving you a hard time about the comment. You were the Marvel Champions guy, but I mean, you might have to
pass the comments being like, Why is Dylan still doing Marvel Champions videos? Why isn't Braiden doing them now?
Leave it in the comments. Number 2, Marvel Champions. I can't say, just the puzzle, figuring everything out is just, it appeals to me so much. My number 2 game of all time.
Awesome pick.
My top 10, Marvel Champions. And finally, my number 1, of course, has to be Just One.
Just One at number 1.
Just One at number 1. This game, it is a party game. Absolutely. Again, like I said, party games are one of my favorites. And I think the combination of player count going up to 7, the clues, how easy it is to teach, to bring. You could literally pull this out. If you wanted to do just a round around the table with 5 people, you can do that. It's going to take, however many minutes. It's not going to be long, right?
Yeah.
This game is much like So Clover, where I am going to bring it almost any time with me. Like it's one that I've introduced to my family, friends. I play so often, and people pointing at other people being like, oh, why did you put that clue? Or it's like, I was going for the obvious one. And not while they're writing the clue, because that would be against the rules, and immediately ejected from the gaming session if they follow that. Of course.
Immediately ejected.
Immediately.
Not even not even out of the game, out of the house. You are ejected out of this gathering.
I threaten my guests. No.
One warning first,
Oh no, they're gone. They only get just one.
No warnings.
This game has been an absolute staple for me, and it's my number 1. I enjoy it so much, and I can't say enough good things.
It's on both of our top 50s. Carl higher on Carlo's. I just want to highlight here, like one of the and maybe I should have mentioned this in our anniversary video, but in general, I think this also is a good time. Like one of the great things about now having a third person on the channel, and Braiden, you specifically, is that we have more variety in our board game tastes. And like me and Carlo play party games, and we like party games, and we do have some on our list, but that I wouldn't say that's my favorite genre, and I know that you wouldn't say that's your favorite genre, or hidden role games. And so to have that be the 2 that you gravitate towards like the most, like we are introducing you to games that you are maybe like heavier or more involved, or or different genres that you're not used to, and you're doing that with like hidden role games or party games, whatever. So like we're all going to be growing our board game tastes because of this, and we're going to have more people that can relate to different people, like people who gravitate now to party games and hidden role games, instead of having to be like, oh, Dylan kind of likes them, Carlo doesn't like hidden role games. They're like, well, Braiden's my spirit animal now. Like this is who I relate to, right? Exactly. So
some good 2-on-1 situations too. With one person being the odd one out, not liking something that the other 2 do. So
absolutely. So that's pretty much it. My just one, my number 1.
Nice. What was your biggest surprise on the list out of his 10 games?
You know what? It was Decrypto, because about 2 weeks ago when you were putting together your top 10, you got us to guess. I guessed Decrypto, and you said, no, it's not in the top 10. And then you must have played it right after that. Because when you pulled it, I was like, what do you told me it wasn't in there.
Just to spite you.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, you thought you could guess, eh?
Yeah.
And I'm also somewhat surprised that Dylan found a way to mention A Feast for Braiden. But that has nothing to do with your picks.
We really shouldn't be surprised at this point, to be honest. I'm certainly not.
I feel like, honestly, my biggest surprise was I thought Marvel Champions was going to be in your top 10. I didn't realize it was going to be that high. That's awesome. It's higher than I have it on mine, and I'll be interested to see, as you start to play more games through All You Can Board, and like more of the games that we're getting to, whether it's to review or just buying for the channel or just other games we're looking into, how that shifts your top 10. Because one game that I didn't know if it was going to be in your top 10, but I wanted to call out, and I'm sure it appears in your top 50 or something. Was when we were at the cabin and played Smartphone Inc. Right? I remember playing that, and right away you saying this might be end up being a top 15, top 10 game for me, right? So, but like we're introducing like more games to you as we play board games, but now just you being on the channel as well, I think you're gonna have more competition for some of these spots as you go. It's gonna be interesting to see how this evolves like to next year when you do it, right?
I'm super excited to see how my tastes change, especially playing more games and maybe not always playing party games all the time and stuff like this too. I'm sure it will.
Yeah.
And it's a good segue too, because I know we're going to do a patron only video where I'm going to break down my top 20 games. So from 20 to 11. And is Smartphone Inc. going to be in there?
You have to be a patron to find out.
Yeah, we'll have to see.
I was going to say one more game I'm surprised didn't make your top 10, but I could one of your 11 to 20 picks.
I mean, I think that's fine.
Yeah.
As well for the last little bit.
Where was Captain Sonar?
I think you only played that one time.
I have
haven't you?
only played it one time, but I've ranted and raved about it.
So good.
And I mean, no, last year when I did like my rough review, Captain Sonar was in like, I think number 12, I think, for me.
Okay. That's still pretty high for one single play,
is.
though. So.
Yeah,
I mean, that one, I was there for that one play, and that's a game that like it only really takes one play for you to like either love it or not like it, and I loved it after that one play. Like it's been so far removed, and you want to try to get 8 exact people to play it. But if we can do that again, Carlo needs to play, and I need to play it again. So
I think I got to bring the expectations down though.
Yeah,
It's good. Yeah. It's a good, solid game. It's a lot of fun.
What we should do is if we ever eventually get around to doing a Winnipeg board game meetup, we should get 5 other people specifically and do an AYCB 8-player game of Captain Sonar.
We could do it. I think we could do this. Yeah, I'm curious what you guys think too. Of course, I'd love your feedback. Hate it, love it. Your taste, my taste align more with yours than either of these guys. Who knows? But yeah, thanks so much for tuning in to my top 10, and we'll see you guys next time.